Okay, so this is Biomedical Ethics, a presentation by me, Adrian Balasico. Let's get started. So, introduction. Jean Vanier, the founder of l'Arc, which is a community that is decisive of people with mental disabilities. Jean Vanier reported in his 2008 book, Living Gently in a Violent World, people with Down syndrome might not be born because they would have been aborted. So so it means that in our society or in our world, much like in the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, people with infants who have been diagnosed with Down syndrome would have been aborted because of their condition. So chorionic villus sampling, which is CVS, it is a sampling of placental tissues, chorionic villus, which allows the detection of birth defects, genetic diseases, and other disorders in the fetus. In 2014, 693 abortions, roughly 90% of those who tested positively in CVS were carried out in the United Kingdom. Jean, a member of l'Arc with Down syndrome, puts it as, "That doesn't make us feel very welcome, now does it?" Ethics can hardly keep up with the fast and confusing advancement in the field of genetics, medicines, and pharmacology. An introductory book of ethics for college students cannot cover all of the nuanced applications of the theories and available perspectives. The limitations can only permit learners an introductory but sound guide to navigate through these current and emerging developments. For such purposes, personalist biomedical ethics is suggested. Personal biomedical care. At the turn of the 20th century, personalist theories emerged as a reaction to receive depersonalization caused by the advent of science, technology, and totalistic systems in philosophy. Biomedical ethics has a stable grounding if it holds an inviolable, inherent, and intrinsic value of the person, as well as his or her relation with the communitarian realities. To better guide the introduction to such personalist biomedical ethics, the birth, well-being, and the death suitable for the human person are covered. Ethics of parental parenthood. So the main or the central question of this text is, the main ethical question is, when does human personhood begin? So in the Philippines, the discussion in the Philippines is grounded in the Constitution, which protects both the mother and the unborn child. So meaning, this when does personhood begin? This means na kaning law or something like this discussion, this debate is in the Philippines, it's more in favor with the protection of both the mother and the unborn child. The Philippine Medical Association, the PMA, asserts that human personhood begins at fertilization, conception. So meaning when the sperm reach the eggs, that's when human personhood begins. Cultural perspective. The culture views pregnant women as nagdadalang tao or childbearing, reinforcing the serious valuation of the unborn. Debating concepts as a process raises the idea that there might be a point of readiness for the body to support personhood during the process of conception. So this is where the debate begins, when if the mother can or cannot support the child when during the process of conception, or even after the child will be born. Nuanced position suggests that a nuanced position that acknowledges the difficulty of proving or disproving when human personhood begins argues that regardless of the uncertainty, the fertilized ovum or fetus should be treated as a human person. So, because the Philippine or the PMA suggests that personhood starts at conception, that means that the fetus should be treated as a human person. Burden of proof shifts the burden of proof to those questioning the personhood of fetuses. Pragmatic support points out that all participants in the ethical discussion of parenthood went through the process of conception, adding a pragmatic perspective. So those nga na kuan will dabble in the debate for discussion of personhood, means na those persons should be the ones na experience conception, meaning pregnancy. So seriousness of the issue emphasizes that the matter is not to be taken lightly, as it involves philosophical discussions with real-world implications. So this is where the readiness of the human person applies, because if the person or the person is not ready, so there are real world implications and consequences. Next is the ectopic pregnancy and the principle of double effect. So ectopic pregnancy and the unjust aggressor analogy raises the question of whether an ectopic pregnancy where the fetus is outside the womb and threatens the mother's life can be treated as an unjust aggressor. Introduces the concept of materially unjust aggressor, likening it to someone under the influence who poses a threat simply due to being in the wrong place. So this is the weird science justification of where if a fetus actually harms the person, it's treated like a tumor. That's something I read about. Self-defense analogy presents an analogy of self-defense against a materially unjust aggressor, drawing parallels to a soldier in the wrong territory detected by a defending sniper. Catholic Church instruction highlights the stance of the Catholic Church, stating that the use of the category of unjust aggressor in fetal life questions is not allowed, as it is a matter of faith. Defines abortion as an intrinsic evil act, unacceptable in any direct and intended form of human action. Principle of double effect introduces the principle of double effect, applicable when an action has both good and bad results. Stresses that the originating act must be deemed good or at least morally neutral. Application to ectopic pregnancy states that directly aborting the fetus in the case of ectopic pregnancy is unacceptable. Suggests a more tolerable option is surgical intervention, such as cutting the clogged fallopian tube, saving the mother but indirectly removing the fetus. So this is abortion, basically. Personalist ethics and the value of fetus applies personalist ethics to biomedical issues, emphasizing the importance of treating the fetus as a person. Argues that imputing aggression, even materially and without intention, objectifies the fetus, deserving better consideration. Levinas' critique and conscientiousness. Referral Emmanuel Levinas' critique of just war, suggesting that a justified self-defense may lead to erringly shunning the idea that the fetus ought to be treated as a person. Childbearing enhancements, self-improving, and general well-being. Advancements in the childbearing and human enhancement. Medical advancements offer options for individuals facing difficulties in conceiving. The Human Genome Project promises personally designed drugs for health improvement. Breakthrough include early detections of genetic predispositions during pregnancy. So I think this is the implication that in vitro fertilization is an option for childbearing, personalist ethics and communitarian consideration. Personalist ethics emphasizes considering relational and communitarian dimensions in evaluating human enhancements, raises concern about the exorbitant cost of childbearing techniques and their impact on poor families and adoptees. So this is the opposite side of the argument, where if the parent is not ready or is not capable of taking care of the child financially, this could be a good counter argument for the church intervention. Considering of spares in child conceiving enhancement, discussion of the ethical dilemma of frozen human embryos or fetuses, referred to as spares in child conceiving enhancements, raises questions about the treatment of spares after a successful pregnancy and the potential misuse of the stem cell therapy. Ethical monitoring of spares emphasizes the need for careful monitoring of spares based on the principle that fetuses should be treated as human persons. Expresses concerns about the lack of laws defining the treatment of spares and the potential for unethical practices. Concerns about self-enhancement and well-being improvements. Highlights ethical considerations in self-advancements and improvements in general well-being. Questions the potential objectification associated with the products that promoting self-actualization, especially those targeting children. Inclusive personal growth advocates for evaluating self-enhancements, including surgeries with an emphasis on holistic personal growth. Stresses the importance of incorporating interior values such as kindness, solidarity, compassion, and alongside physical improvement. Justice and common good argues that justice, the traditional concept of the common good, demand individual and communal evaluation of commercialized self-enhancements. Suggests a need to counter or balance self-enhancements with considerations of justice and common good. Extraordinary means euthanasia and the significance of a living will. Euthanasia in the personalist ethics. Euthanasia is considered unacceptable in the Philippines as a personalist ethics value that is inherent and inviolable nature of human life. Direct and intentional killing of a non-aggressor contradicts personal principles. So, in the Philippines, this is somewhat a taboo to kill a person with no intention, or the person is a non-aggressor. Improving end-of-life care needs improvement to ensure dignified dying for human persons. Pain management and hospice care, especially for the poor, should be accessible and clearly explained. Termination of extraordinary means distinguishes between euthanasia and stopping extraordinary means. Extraordinary means refer to artificial life-prolonging methods like respirators. If chances of recovery are slim and resources are insufficient, stopping extraordinary means allow for a dignified death. So if financial, if there is no problem financially, or if there are problems financially, the respirators or any extraordinary means of stopping death would be indignified, meaning life prolonging would be worse than being in debt but living. Living will and personal autonomy advocates the writing of a living will, guide loved ones in the event of severe illness and incapacitation. Addresses issues such as brain death, and persistent vegetative state. Prioritizes personal autonomy, allowing individuals to specify their preferences regarding organ donations and the extent of organ harvesting. DNR, do not resuscitate, and living will. Distinguishes DNR from euthanasia. It involves rescinding CPR in the event of fatal incident. Living wills guide the decisions related to DNR and help resolve family confusion. Emphasizes personalist ethics in the communitarian dimension of living wills, where organ donations can save other lives. Role of living wills on organ donation or in organ donation. Living wills play a crucial role in donation decisions. Expressing willingness in a living will allow the brain-dead patients to contribute to the extension of others' lives through organ donation. Conclusion. Human value and personhood. Emphasizes the inherent inviolable and inalienable value of personhood. Each human being is unique and represents a source of creativity, willfulness, and decision. Human freedom is considered the pinnacle of one's being. Biomedical decision-making and freedom stresses that biomedical decisions involve not just limits but also questions who individuals are and what they are to become in exercising their freedom. Biomedical ethics is not solely about a patient's treatment, but concerns all of humanity, including medical practitioners. Treating the embryo as a human person advocates treating the embryo as a human person for the sake of dignity and value in fetal life. Posits that this principle engage medical practitioners and researchers, shaping the kind of humanity endorsed by research practices. Beyond physical improvement, warns against treating physicality as an end in itself when using medical advancement. Integral personhood involves not just external or bodily improvements, but also a deeper interior kind of happiness. Dignified dying and pain management advocates for sustaining respect for the person until death, moving away from euthanasia marked by impatience toward the process of death. Acknowledges the importance of dignified dying and pain management in end-of-life concerns. Caution in advancements in medication highlights the attractiveness and potential misleading nature of using medical advancements to improve well-being. Encourages consideration of an actualized person that encompasses both exterior and interior aspects of happiness. Ethical consideration for medical practitioners emphasizes that ethical considerations extend to medical practitioners themselves. Biomedical ethics questions the kind of humanity built up in research studies and medical practices.